Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive, and I mean absolutely fundamental shift happening right now in the tech industry. We're talking about the complete collision of traditional software engineering with this wild new era of vibe coding. I'm super excited to guide you through this because the way we build technology is changing faster than ever before.
Okay, let's just dive right into this rather provocative question. I know it sounds a bit extreme, right? But it's actually grounded in a very real structural shift. The AI tools that are making coding exponentially faster might actually be breaking down the exact system that creates expert developers in the first place. We are moving at light speed here, but we really need to stop and ask, what are we leaving behind?
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by defining the vibe coding revolution, take a look at the broken apprenticeship model, and discuss the death of the junior dev. Then we'll explore the competency bridge collapse, the resulting seed corn crisis, and finally the rise of the cyber architect. Let's get right into it. All right, Section 1, the vibe coding revolution. To really get a grip on the disruption we're facing today, we kind of have to look backward at the history of how we write code. Because, vibe coding isn't magic. It's really just the latest massive abstraction surge. Think about it. We went from assembly language, which gave way to C, and then C gave way to higher level stuff like Python. And now, large language models have literally turned human natural language into the most potent compiler in history. We're just moving further and further away from the raw metal of the machine. Which brings us to what we actually mean when we say vibe coding. Basically, it's using LLMs as a direct shortcut to generate code. You get to completely bypass the meticulous, tedious typing of syntax and just focus entirely on the broader architecture. So, the absolute game changer here is that for an experienced developer, vibe coding is the ultimate efficiency tool. Which brings us to Section 2, the apprenticeship model broken. Because all that incredible efficiency at the top, it's creating a massive vacuum at the bottom. What happens to the people who aren't experienced yet? I mean, just think about the sheer scale of this time compression. Historically, the whole apprenticeship model meant junior devs learned by doing the grunt work. They'd spend hours wrestling with pesky CSS bugs or migrating simple APIs. Actually, if you've ever spent a whole afternoon hunting down one single missing semicolon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Through those low-stakes repetitions, which might take a junior around 4 hours, they slowly built their skills. But today, an AI loop knocks out a suite of unit tests or a boilerplate React component in literally seconds. The foundational training ground for humans is exactly what AI is best at automating. Moving on to Section 3, death of the junior dev. Let's look at how this crazy efficiency is actually creating a totally unique sociological and economic crisis in tech. In the AI-augmented era, the fundamental economic calculus has completely shifted. The cold, hard truth is that the marginal utility of a human beginner is rapidly approaching zero. In the old economy, you hired a junior developer because their cost made sense based on their future value. You amortized that investment over years, and they handled all those low-value tasks in the meantime. But today, those entry-level tasks have simply evaporated. And this creates a really dangerous dynamic. On one side, senior developers are having a field day. They use vibe coding as this massive shortcut because they already have the foundational knowledge to spot subtle AI hallucinations. But on the flip side, junior developers are stuck in this massive junior gap. Because their entry-level tasks are gone, they never actually get the chance to develop the mental models required to architect complex systems. That brings us to Section 4, the competency bridge collapse. This gap doesn't just ruin job prospects, it carries a profound cognitive cost for the individual developer. Think of the competency bridge as the vital cognitive infrastructure inside your brain. It's what takes you from just passively consuming AI-generated code to actually understanding and architecting complex systems yourself. It's basically the middle management stage of technical skill where you internalize the why behind the what. But right now, that bridge is actively collapsing simply because the learning stage itself is being automated away. We are making a huge trade-off here. Traditionally, engineers built their intuition through failure-driven learning. When you spend 6 agonizing hours manually debugging a memory leak, your brain physically maps out how hardware and software interface. That's first principles thinking. But with vibe coding, we're risking semantic atrophy. We lean so heavily on natural language to generate code that we fall into a black box dependency. Our actual ability to read and critique the underlying machine truth, the source code itself, is steadily weakening. Which leads us to Section 5, the seed corn crisis. Because if individuals are losing their ability to learn and internalize these systems, the entire tech industry is facing a terrifying macroeconomic warning. This quote just hits the nail on the head. It totally exposes the paradoxical disincentive to hire beginners at the bottom of the stack right now. Companies are seeing massive, immediate fiscal efficiency by using AI to do the grunt work. But in doing so, they're inadvertently burning the seed corn. They're literally consuming the very resources required to grow the next harvest of senior talent.
So this builds into a full-blown structural succession crisis. Since the traditional future value of a junior dev is gone, there's a huge economic disincentive to hire beginners. But if no one is hired at the bottom today, the long-term supply of experts is completely threatened. If you lead an engineering team, you have to ask yourself the most critical question of this whole explainer. Who exactly is going to oversee tomorrow's highly complex automated systems if the experts needed to do it were never trained in the first place?
Finally, Section 6, Rise of the Cyber Architect. To avoid the systemic collapse, the industry can't just sit back. We have to radically rethink our pedagogical approach and evolve. We need a totally new kind of professional.
We have got to rebuild that competency bridge. We're shifting from the past era of learning to code, memorizing syntax and writing boilerplate, to the future era of learning to verify. The focus has to shift toward becoming what we can call cyber architects. These are pros whose primary skill isn't writing code from scratch, but rigorously verifying, validating, and deeply understanding AI outputs to ensure they are logically sound and secure. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to chew on regarding the future of engineering. In an era of vibe coding, who will be left to verify the machine? Because if we don't deliberately train the next generation of cyber architects and we just let that competency bridge completely collapse, we might lose the human intuition that built this incredible technology in the first place. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it gave you a powerful new lens to view the future of software development.